Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of For What It's Nerd. Today, we are going to be discussing Jurassic World Rebirth, but before we get into that, let's cover some quick other topics, including Obi-Wan Season 2. There has been rumors that Obi-Wan Season 2 is looking to be put into production. I don't know what this would be about, personally, but I think we should kind of discover the kind of more spiritual side for Obi-Wan, dealing with Qui-Gon, becoming aware of the spiritual words, sort of similarly to the Qui-Gon episodes, the Yoda episodes regarding Qui-Gon and learning about the Force Ghost scenario during the Clone Wars. I think that would be a cool way of doing that. Otherwise, I don't really want to see him kind of go up against Vader again. Him dealing with Reva in some way and helping her kind of come back from the dark side could be interesting. Or kind of putting him in the face of another Jedi who survived Quinlan Vos, for example, and how he is going about stopping everything that's going on. Also, with Asajj Ventress being back now, is that something we could see him helping Asajj and her new kind of Padawan in her own right? Is that something we could see? Potentially. I would be excited to see what they do with that, but I think they need to make it more relevant to the Clone Wars side of Obi-Wan. They very much forgot about a lot of what Obi-Wan's character is to kind of make it accessible to people who would only watch the movies, and Disney Plus series don't need to be that. The movies need to be that because you need to access it as a fan who is casual, but a Disney Plus show people are generally going into because they love Star Wars and they want to watch more Star Wars. So in that way, I think I would like Obi-Wan to go into a little bit more spiritual side or a little bit more of like a different direction other than just going up against Vader again. But interested to see what they do with it if it does end up coming true, because I don't want it to feel forced, and I'm concerned it might. So that is Obi-Wan Season 2. Let's keep that kind of brief there. As well as that, I'm Glad My Mom Died adaptation. So I read this book a while back by Jeanette McCurdy regarding her life, really, but her time with television as a child on Nickelodeon, on iCarly, and then Sam and Cat. And this book is like, I think it's one of the more cultural must-reads of the last 10 years. If you haven't read it and you're interested in kind of, not interested is the wrong word, but if you find that you have a scenario where you struggle with depression, anxiety, stress, not living up to people's standards. I have in some ways, not necessarily regards my parents, but in other ways, maybe, other kind of mentor figures, etc. And this book really digs into that, and you find that some of those scenes are really horrifying, really reality shattering, really sad. But the kind of message of the book is so much about being yourself, and sometimes only being yourself outside of the shadow of other people. And I'm really interested to see how the adaptation does against that. I know Jeanette McCurdy is going to be part of the creative team for this. I believe she's going to be producing it. But as well as that, I think Jennifer Aniston is on to be part of that. And I'm interested to see how she does. She can do a sort of mean role. We've seen it a few times with her. So I'm wondering if she's going to be playing the mom in this. We shall see on that front. But again, very brief point on that. I'd be interested to see it. We'll probably be discussing that if it does / when it does come out. And following on from last week's episode, Ironheart, the finale, a few quick points. I think these last 3 episodes were far better than the first 3. I think they clearly had a little bit more of a direction where to go in these last 3, and they do it well. The end of the season actually sets up a season 2 insanely well, and I'm concerned we don't get that. But I have seen some people suggesting that maybe she could be sort of an antagonist for a future film ahead of kind of de-antagonizing herself, so to speak, joining the heroes again, because at the end of the first season of Ironheart, in case we do get a second season, she makes a deal with Mephisto, who we've been waiting for in the MCU for a long time. And I was excited about Mephisto joining. Of course, there are some controversies surrounding Sacha Baron Cohen. Regards Israel and Palestine, and that is of course something to note and be aware of. And that's obviously a little bit sad that you have someone who's playing something that everyone was so excited for that kind of sort of mitigates that a bit. But I did enjoy his performance, which is like that doesn't mitigate everything else. But yeah, it's a hard one. But it's not hard. Obviously, don't support what's going on over there. But at the same time, if I were to take the acting on its own merit, I enjoyed the scenes. So yeah, that's what I guess I mean there. So yeah, I think I want to see where Ironheart goes now. I'm interested to see what this means for the wider MCU regards the devil, Mephisto. In this instance, we know his name is being thrown around a few times. Also, does it mean that potentially down the line we would see Mephisto taking other forms? Does it mean that actually Sacha Baron Cohen was Mephisto in this, but we might not see him as Mephisto in the next thing? And could they do it that way? Potentially. Who knows? That is Ironheart. I'm interested to see where it goes, but the show was basically okay still. And on to what we were here to talk about initially, Jurassic World Rebirth. To follow on from what I just said about Ironheart, this movie is basically okay. It hits a lot of the beats that Jurassic Park did, the first Jurassic Park, and I think this is, in my opinion, the closest spiritual predecessor to Jurassic Park. I think a lot of the beats that it has are very similar. I think a lot of the emotional depth that it has is similar. You kind of have the family vibe of like people, like in a lot of those movies later on, you kind of have it be more kind of like adults in action against the dinosaurs. And this one, you have sort of a family situation again. You have these kids trying to survive against the dinosaurs, and it does feel a little bit disingenuous because basically most of the main cast survives, and that is a frustration in the fact that I think if you'd killed one of them, it would have felt more real. They killed a lot of supporting actors, and that did add to the drama, and there was a lot of suspense, and you did wonder if they were going to kill someone off, but they didn't. And yeah, I think in that way it's a little frustrating. I think you've got to have stakes in these movies, otherwise the whole point of the dinosaur thing just falls apart. So in that way, yeah. Also, I don't think the mutant dinosaur thing needed to be done again. I think they actually, and this is ironic because I don't think the previous Jurassic World movies were the best. I think they did the mutant idea better. And I think this version of it was superfluous to the actual story of the movie. I will say that I actually really love the way the movie was shot. I liked the way it looked. I liked the way it felt. And I think some of the kind of movie magic scenes are really fun, like the one where you see the raft. We've seen this sort of in trailers and stuff. The raft goes up, the T-Rex disappears, and then it shows up again. Like, I thought that was quite cool. There's some kind of moments like that throughout. There's another one where Xavier, one of the members of like the civilians, he's like taking a leak, to put it nicely, and there's like velociraptors sneaking up on him, and then this bird comes down, like kills him, and he's like basically still taking a leak. And I thought that was quite funny. And they played like comically with it this time, right? in a way that was quite, they were like on the nose. But I think what is most true of this movie, and again, I did like it, but I think what's most true of this movie, this franchise, is that the general public's interest wanes in these ideas because they're not necessarily fresh. Now, interestingly, I say that, but the box office is doing okay on this movie. I think probably because you have Scarlett Johansson in it, you have Jonathan Bailey in it, you have Mahershala Ali in it. 3 big actors is the kind of main forefront of this movie. I don't know if it would have done as well if those names weren't attached. I will give it also the merit of saying that this movie stands largely alone from everything that's come before. Yes, it follows the same premise and puts itself in the world of the other movies, but it doesn't really rely on legacy characters. There's no legacy characters in this. There's one name drop of Alan Grant earlier, like sort of midway through the movie. Apart from that, nothing. And the characters that they do introduce, Scarlett Johansson's Zora is this character that you kind of find very not frustrating, but you kind of don't understand at first, and then later in the movie you get that she's seeking to do something good and hasn't had the chance to do it yet, and this movie allows her to do that. Henry Loomis, Jonathan Bailey's character, actually my favorite character in the movie. Reason being, I think he was the Ian Malcolm of this movie, but a little bit more Alan Grant in there too. And what I find interesting about that is you have a character who isn't unwilling to do the kind of adventurous side, but is still posing these questions of, are we doing the right thing? Should we be doing this? Where do we go from here? What should we do with the thing we're doing if we do succeed? And they kind of, they played with that a little bit. They wanted him to kind of, he was trying to be like the leader in a way, and then like shied away from it. But then in other moments was like running forward and getting like really involved. So like it was kind of a fun character dynamic to see him kind of be out of his depth and then find himself like firmly within his depth, if that makes sense. And Mahershala Ali's character, now I actually think Mahershala's character, David, was really interesting because they gave him perhaps the most visible through line of what his character was doing in the movie, in that his character lost his son. We don't know how, but lost his son. And he has a very hard time with leaving this family on their own and like dealing with that, what losing that family, like losing those kids could look like. And he, throughout the movie, has these moments where he kind of reflects on that and he acts based on that. And it sets up this perfect ending to the movie. It is a little bit undercut again because the character just survived, but there's like almost this redemption of the loss of his son in there. Again, undercut sadly, but I think his character had the best through line of story. The villain of this movie wasn't really a villain. There wasn't really a villain at all, apart from just doing the right thing at the end with the stuff they collected on the island. But I do think there was moments that were villainous in the movie. I think those played out quite well. You had these characters here. It was almost like the villain of the movie was situation, and the villain of the movie was priorities, and what is more important morally as humanity. There's a whole moment where Jonathan Bailey discusses the idea that humans have been around for about 200,000 years compared to dinosaurs, which lived about 165 million before being brought back, and that we're basically a blip in the matter of existence, and that 99.9% of all species that have ever existed have died. And what I find interesting about that, he says, you don't know what to expect with humans and stuff like that in that speech to continue. And I think that's what this movie is. This movie is basically, what if chaos theory was the villain? You know, what if the villain is that we just are setting ourselves up to die every time? And I like that as a concept a little bit, actually, the more I think about it. But with all that said, it is just a Jurassic Park movie. So if you like that, if you've enjoyed Jurassic Park, if you've enjoyed the Jurassic World movies, you're going to enjoy this to some degree. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing crazy. I think they need to take a step back from Jurassic World, look at it, look at what's interesting about it, look at what they can do to change it, leave the mutant stuff out going forward, I think, and maybe even bring it forward into the sort of 21st century and deal with the idea of like, and this would like go crazy, but like deal with the idea of what if you augmented dinosaurs? What if you, like, they could go that route next? And again, it's that sort of thing of like, you're messing with something that's already been messed with, but maybe they can go down the route of like, could you cybernetically enhance a dinosaur? And like, they're already going balls to the wall with this stuff anyway. The world basically has dinosaurs across it. Might as well add robot arms to them and stuff. In my opinion, that's maybe where I would go next. I don't know if that really keeps to the Jurassic World and Jurassic Park ethos, though. But if you're going balls to the wall, you might as well do it. Otherwise, there's always the option of some kind of dinosaur-human hybrid that was kind of always there in the sort of Jurassic World back pocket, so to speak. So we'll see if that happens next. Who knows? They are trying to give this drug to people that helps with heart disease. Maybe something in that drug sets off dinosaur DNA or some latent prehistoric DNA. Who knows? Maybe they could even go Planet of the Apes with it and kind of like, actually the dinosaurs aren't taking control currently, but maybe there's a solar flare or something like that. I don't know, and like the world heats up, or something just crazy. That like do whatever you want, at this point, but make it like a little bit more, because like I said, this movie is really good for paying homage. But it's that kind of Force Awakens vibe to me. It's like, yeah, you've done really good at making another New Hope, but like, can we have something sort of inventive, new, different, a little bit, please? Thanks, maybe. Like that's my opinion. So hopefully that can be a thing that we look at. They look at going forward, and hopefully we can have something like that for the next movie. I really like Gareth Edwards as a director, so it's a little shame that this isn't a movie that I could be more hyped about. But I think this is a hard month for making good movies because everyone's just looking towards Superman, everyone's looking towards Fantastic Four, and I think Jurassic World, whilst it's succeeding currently, I think it's succeeding because it's come out first. I think you'll see the drop off coming very soon with it. So we shall see if that's true or not. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll also see what the sequel ends up being when they do it. So in the meantime, this is a very short episode compared to some of the episodes we've been doing recently. But I think I just like when you just know what you want to say and you think it's like enough, it's enough, right? I don't need to sit here and diatribe about the movie for hours when it's, you know, that's what it was. That's how I see it, and so let's move on. Let's think about the next movie. So next week, Superman. Very excited to discuss this one. It's been getting a lot of advertisement, a lot of like marketing. Hopefully, it's as good as it's making out to be. Hopefully, it's as visually stunning as it looks, and hopefully, James Gunn has another superhero movie in his back pocket. We shall see. Until then, guys, as always, thank you for watching and listening. I'll see you soon for more. Bye, guys.